Hey guys, today we are going through the next part of the Alleyn School Maths sample paper. So let's get straight into these solutions. Now here for this next question, we're shown some information on two cars racing from Leeds to Blackpool and back again based on this line graph. So part A, how far is it from Leeds to Blackpool? Well, here we have on the x-axis time and on the y-axis distance. So if they're going from Leeds to Blackpool and then from Blackpool back to Leeds, then this turning point should represent when they've reached Blackpool. And therefore, if they reach Blackpool after 120 kilometers, that they've traveled from Leeds, then it makes sense that Leeds is 120 kilometers away from Blackpool. So our answer should be 120 kilometers. Now for part B, which car was winning at 3:30? So time 3:30 is around here. If we trace upwards, we see car B has covered more distance because the y-axis shows us distance than car A. And that's because for this time, 3:30, the line for car B is higher than the line for car A. So car B's covered more distance, and if you've covered more distance, that means you're winning. So therefore car B is winning. Now for part C, we have to apply some logic and reasoning to answer this correctly, because we're asked again which car was winning, but this time at 4:15, which is around here. If we trace up, we see that although car A, the bold line, is higher than car B, the dotted line, car B has already reached Blackpool and they're on their way back to Leeds. Whereas car A is still trying to get to Blackpool. So even though the line is higher, they're still losing because car B is on their way back to Leeds. And therefore at 4:15, car B is still winning. Now for part D, we need to work out the distance between the cars at 4:45. So here's pretty simple. We can use a different color to make it clearer. The one car has traveled 60, or is that 60 kilometers from Leeds? And the other car is 100 kilometers from Leeds, distance from Leeds. And all we care about really is the difference. And that difference is 40 kilometers, which means that at 4:45, the distance between them is 40 kilometers. Now, part E, what happened just after 6 p.m.? Well, around this area, just after 6 p.m., we see the lines cross. And what does that mean? Well, if the lines are crossing on the way back from Blackpool, that means that someone is overtaking the other person. And as we can see here, the dotted line, car B, is overtaking the solid bold line, car A. And actually they end up getting back to Leeds before car A. So to answer the question, just after 6 p.m., car B overtakes car A. And we can see this through the lines crossing. They're at the same distance at that point in time. For part F, we have which car achieved the highest speed and between which times did this happen. So to answer this, let's clear this graph a bit. which car achieved the highest speed and at what time, or between which times, did this happen? So to work this out, we need to understand the relationship between speed, distance, and time. And that's that speed equals distance over time. And we know this through our speed, distance, time triangle, right? Very important triangle for the 11 plus. Whatever we cover gives us information about the other two. So if we cover speed, we want to find out about speed, we cover it up. And we see speed is distance over time. Time, cover it up. Time is distance over speed. Want to find out about distance, cover it up. Distance is speed times time. So here, speed is distance over time, as we see right here. So we're trying to work out, to find the highest speed, we want the highest distance traveled in the shortest amount of time. And the way we're going to see that on the graph is by a very steep line. For example, this line over here, we can see, if we take a look at this line, we've covered a lot of distance on the y-axis in a short amount of time on the x-axis. So we're going pretty quickly there. But if we compare that to this area over here, we've covered zero distance. Over here, we're at 60 kilometers from Leeds. Here, we're still at 60 kilometers from Leeds, but time has passed. And therefore, it's a very low distance and a high time. And therefore, it's a low speed. So here, we're looking for steep lines. So here, this line could be a contender. And also this line could be a contender. So let's work out the speeds for these three lines. Those look like the steepest lines in the graph. So the first one we have here. What's the distance? What's the time? Distance, we're going from 50 to 120. So scenario one, distance is 70 kilometers. Time, well, trace it down. We're going from 3:15 to 3:45. So 30 minutes. So 70 kilometers in 0.5 hours. What about scenario two over here? How many kilometers in distance? We're going from 120 to 40. So 80 kilometers. What's the time? Well, trace it downwards. We're going from 4:30 to 5:30. So 80 kilometers in 1 hour. And what about scenario three? Let's clear up our page. Scenario three, we said, is over here, the next steepest line. Distance here is 60 to 0, so 60 kilometers. And the time, trace it down, 5:45 to 6:15, so 30 minutes or 0.5 hours. So what's going to be the highest speed? Well, straight away, we know that 1 has to be quicker than 3, because for the same time on the denominator, we're traveling more distance. Think about our speed, distance, time relationship. More distance in the same amount of time means you're running quicker. So 1 cancels out 3, but then we have 80 and 1 hour. So scenario 2. Well, let's think about it. If we're running at a speed of 70 kilometers in 0.5 hours, that means in 1 hour, we would have run 140 kilometers, which is way more than running 80 kilometers in 1 hour. So by making this comparison, it's clear that we must be going way faster in scenario 1 than in scenario 2. Because if we continue at the rate of scenario 1, we cover way more distance in the same time. And therefore scenario 1 seems to be the quickest. So Let's clear all this up. We have our answer. Scenario 1, the first one we did over here, is where we're achieving the highest speed. So it's going to be car B achieving the highest speed, and between the times 3:15 p.m. and 3:45 p.m. That is our answer. Now, finally, to end it off, which car won this race? We already looked at this. The car that won the race is the car that gets back to 0 kilometers in the quickest time. And that means it's going to be car B right here. So car B is the winner. Okay, so that is all for today. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you're the first to know when the next video is released. And on that note, I will see you all next time.